My name's Carlos Roa. I'm with the Trail of Dreams.
Emory Douglass.
Okay.
Felipe Matos.
And Juan Rodriguez.
What's it like being in each other's presence right now? You're all freedom fighters, the new ones with an old freedom fighter.
Well, it's a statement saying the struggle continues.
Absolutely.
Struggle continues.
L'union fait la force.
Have to confront hate, and the only way to do that is by going straight to to the source. As you mentioned earlier, the belly of the beast.
Right.
And so,
go ahead. No, I'm listening.
well, then that was and the way that we've done it, has been the most powerful message throughout the entire trail was the fact that we did out of love, love for humanity.
So, I mean, these were experiences that happened all throughout the trail that we saw that basically the first step in being able to overcome this hatred that we see in this country is to be able to first you on your own stepping out of that fear, out of those limitations that you have, and recognizing the humanity in the person that you're opposing. Because if you come at them trying to argue about the policy and trying to do the same like talking points and legislative debate, then you're never going to get anywhere, because that's what they're used to. That's what they're faced with all the time. And what we did was we would come and say, we're here as young people from the community who want to discuss with you how our families are suffering, and and trying to create that equal ground of like, you also come from a family, I love this country just as much as you do. Both of us want to see this country prosper. Both of us want our families to be safe, and so if we have those common values for our communities and if we both believe in these fundamental principles, then how can we use that foundation to be able to build the type of world that we want to see? And I mean, we saw that in South Carolina. There was a man who approached us during one of our forums, and he was furious. I mean, his eyes were red, and we really thought that he was going to try to hurt one of us. And when he started talking, he started telling us about how his wife was dying because she needed an organ transplant. And the doctors told her that she had maybe 1 or 2 months left to live. And he turned to me and he said, "You are the reason why my wife is going to die. I've been hearing on the news from people like Glenn Beck and Lou Dobbs and, all these individuals that immigrants are taking up all the resources in this country. And so my wife is not getting the treatment that she needs or the organ donor that she needs because the immigrants are taking everything." And he was just so furious. And then instantly, the first thing that I could think about and that made me want to connect with this man was, oh my God, he's got such a profound love for his wife, and the pain that this man must be going through, seeing his wife suffer so much. Like, nobody in this world deserves to suffer in that manner. And that's something that I could connect with, There's people in your life that you care about and that you want to protect, and, and I have nothing to do with what's happening in the medical system, and
Well, what did you say to him?
Yeah, I mean, basically, we each of us told our stories as young people who grew up in this country, who recognize this nation as our home, who have done nothing but try to be good students, to make our parents proud, to try to contribute, doing volunteer service work, doing community organizing work, and just showing him that, we also live in fear that our families may be ripped apart. We also live in fear that we may lose people that we love, but it's because of these broken laws, these unjust laws that are being enforced. And so by the end of the forum, like, he had a completely different perspective of who we were, and he apologized to us. And Gabby, who is the fourth walker, she couldn't be with us today because she's actually taking care of her mom right now, but she went up to him and she gave him a hug and she said, like, I'm horribly sorry about the pain that your wife is going through, but don't use that to scapegoat an entire segment of our population. All of us need to stand together and work together to change these policies that are making our families suffer. And that was really what we tried to do throughout. And she did the same thing in Joe Arpaio's office. She went up to him, and earlier that morning we were at a like it's called like the Embassy of Indigenous People, Dona Tierra, and they gave her like a little lump of coal there. And during the meeting with Joe Arpaio, at the end of it, she handed it to him and she said, after your life is over and after my life is over, all of us will go back to being nothing but carbon. And so I'm giving this to you as a token of the humanity that connects each of us and that will always keep us connected. And so she was saying, you know, this is my gift to you as a sister, and I understand that there's things that you've done wrong and that you've gone astray and that you've made mistakes, but this gift is your opportunity to be able to come back to us, to make amends for all of those things that you've done wrong. You don't have to continue enforcing these unjust laws. And I mean, it was such a powerful statement, and it really got to him. Like it was visually, like you could see that it got to him. And I mean, it doesn't mean that he automatically changes overnight. You know, everybody goes through a process of gaining that consciousness of what they're doing and what their actions, like the impact that it has on their community. But I mean, each of us have to play a role in that. You know, we went into Arizona and tried to do our little bit, but everybody has to come out and tell their stories and try to reach out to the people that are most unlikely to work with us, because, you know, you never know what could happen. You know, you could always be surprised.
You know, the most radical thing is the power of love. And this is what we saw. The power of the love has to change people. That doesn't mean that we shouldn't hold people accountable. We should hold Sheriff Arpaio accountable. We should hold President Obama for his inaction and, you know, for only adding enforcement instead of doing something good for all of us. We should be doing stuff. I mean, I'm not saying that. However, we can just, you know, say, oh my God, this is a monster, and I'm not even going to talk to him, and, you know, I'd rather have him killed. You know, we have to, I guess, you know, like the point of the trail has always been, we are human beings, and all we're asking is to be treated with dignity. You're obviously not treating us with dignity, but I'm gonna give you what I wish to have.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
I think that during the meeting, he expected a confrontation, and it was interesting because when he realized that we were just sitting down to have a talk with him and have a dialogue, it's something that had shocked him, and he said that it had been the first time that anybody had taken that approach with him. And so confronting hate with hate will not get us anywhere. It is only through love. And, you know, we've been working on this for a while. You know, we've studied other movements in order to get to this point. And it's so important.
What are some of the movements you studied?
Well, especially the civil rights movement. You know, and we've also, I guess, educated ourselves. There's a Felipe and myself read this book, The Pedagogy of the Oppressed.
Okay.
And, you know, it's, you know, when you acknowledge the humanity of all, you know, it's not just like acknowledging your own people's humanity. It's acknowledging the humanity of all people.
Right.
You know? And so your oppressor is also a person, is also a human being. And so that is something that taking this approach is a new frontier in this movement.
Okay.
And so it's something that hasn't been tried enough, or people that are directly affected by the issue have not necessarily voiced, you know, that approach.
No, I hear you.
Like you said,
One last question, then
on
we'll
the
take it
journey,
away.
they picked up and learned from the experience of others, but then they had to implement it. They had to put it into practice and learn the limitations and the obstacles that they had to deal with, and the high points in relationship to the challenges that they had to overcome, deal with on the march. So it's about practice. It's about putting the theory and the desires and stuff into actual practice to see how you're going to have to refine sometimes. Maybe you have to sit back and think, but also you have to study and analyze and give constructive evaluations of things as you also evolve.
So don't get caught up in the paralysis of analysis.
No.
You know, the other thing that they was talking about was seeing the humanity within people. And I was just telling them, I hear about some of this stuff, and I'm angry, man. I'm ready to, how do you all draw the line, or did you all draw the line as Panthers?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Because you can get caught up in emotionalism and get and go out there and do things that you normally wouldn't do if you step back and give thought to it. And then that again comes from evaluating and understanding what your purpose is.